What's up, YouTube? Straight Facts Homie here. Mason and John, two of the three amigos, about to react to Patriots defeating the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into it. Let us see. Let us see. Here we go. In a three, a two. There we are.
Are you
See,
recording it?
no, I'm trying to find the recorded this computer. Here we go. 3, 2. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, into the one and only Straight Facts Homie, a 60-minute NFL TV show coming your way, 15 to 20 minutes live on YouTube as we react every first quarter of the show to the New England Patriots. If you're watching us after the fact, find us on Facebook and Twitter. Join the conversation after, usually around 8 o'clock or so after Patriots game, subject to change, but follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm alongside John Lyons. How are you, John, this Sunday?
Not too bad, man. Nice win for the Patriots. Not only the best win of this year, you can probably make the case it's the best win since 2021.
I would wholeheartedly agree. I'm not exactly sure what happened in 2020. I'm trying to erase that from my brain. I might even say best win post Brady era, unless you have something that comes to mind. But we'll discuss right now. Again, we are on Facebook and Twitter reacting to the Patriots win, moving to 2-5, 29-25 over the Buffalo Bills. John, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think it's the best win of at least the last 2 years for the Patriots. And what was really encouraging to me is not just that they won the game, but it's the way they won it. They were mostly clean offensively. They did have the one Kendrick Bourne fumble, but other than that, they were pretty clean. One penalty on a Farrell Brown long catch and run on their, I think, third to last drive in the fourth quarter. But overall, pretty clean game on offense. They scored some touchdowns in the red zone. And that final drive from the Patriots offense, I thought was massive, not only just in the context of winning this game, but in the context of the Patriots season. Because what have we been saying, Mason? Week 1, the offense fails at the end of the game, right? Kayshon Boutte can't get his feet down. Week 2, they fail at the end of the game. Week 3, even though they win, the offense fails to run the clock out at the end of the game, right? We saw these late game last week against Vegas, right? They give up a safety, they fail at the end of a game. We saw them break through, and specifically Mac Jones break through, have a great drive, throw the touchdown to Gesicki to win it with 12 seconds left. I just thought not only was the win itself encouraging, but the way they won, there's a lot of encouraging signs to take from this game and to build on moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. That is definitely a building block. Now, all of a sudden, are they going to run off 10 straight like Jason, I see right in the comments? Let's hold our horses here. Is Mac Jones going to be almost rookie of the year 2021, and this is going to be his stepping stone? I'm not convinced of that just yet. So I was it's a good point, John, that you mentioned to start. Like, we talked about their failures at the end of the game, just the incompetence, the incompetence that we've seen first 6 games of the year, all of last year. Just the dysfunction that has absolutely been ravaging through the building. And obviously, the big news before today's game of Bill Belichick. We'll discuss that at the end of the segment as well. But the point being, it was finally good to see not just a comeback victory, but capitalizing on an opponent's mistakes. Josh Allen interception to start the game. Jabril Peppers picking up what he left off in Vegas last week, looking really good in the secondary. Trying to all of a sudden turn it into we kind of got a free safety back here in Jabril Peppers. So that's a huge kind of, sub consequence of this season. And we'll see what's going forward with that. But the point being, I echo those sentiments, John. It's a good building block. You can show that this team is not dead yet. They're not, woe is us. We're not let's fire the coach or anything like this. They're playing for each other. It seems like they're playing for the coach as Bill Belichick reaches his 300th win on a very newsworthy day for himself. So all in all, they moved to 2-5. Does this mean they're going to be a playoff team? I'm not ready to say that just yet, but at least they've shown some life. They've shown some breathing room, and can they build upon it?
Yeah, and I think a really encouraging sign here too is not only the play of Mac Jones, 2 touchdown passes, 272 yards passing, including 69 yards on 8 of 9 passing on that final drive for the touchdown to win the game. That was really encouraging. But also, Mason, the Patriots won the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. This was by far their offensive line's best game. I think moving Mike Onwenu to right tackle, that's something we've talked about them doing for weeks now. It paid immediate dividends. I hope they keep him there. I thought the rest of the offensive line played well. Sidney So looked pretty good at right guard. Cole Strange, this was his best game of the year up front, it looked like. And defensively, I mean, Christian Barmore was a monster in this game. And this was a Patriots defensive line. No Matthew Judon on the edge. Josh Uche was out and Keon White was out. And they still held the Bills, to 81 rushing yards. They had 1 sack on Josh Allen, but that really doesn't even tell the full story because in 18 dropbacks in the first half, Josh Allen was pressured on 9 of them. So he was constantly under pressure. He threw the interception early in the game as well. I thought the defensive line and the offensive line for the Patriots, this was their best collective game by far, and it was the offensive line's best game, I thought, by far. And I thought the defensive line, especially Christian Barmore, was an absolute force in this game and made a huge difference.
It's funny. It's ironic you mentioned the offensive line. I get a text from a friend of the show, John, here saying with Dante Scarnecchia in the house,
Can he come
line,
every week? Can he just come? I don't care if he coaches or not. Can you just be there? And we saw some former Patriots, Mason. I'm sorry to cut your thought off here.
Have him ring the bell. It's all good.
But we saw some former Patriots. Jamie Collins tweeted about this, like, hey, the difference of just having Scar in the building. And I think Devin McCourty even retweeted it and agreed with it. Like, so it's not just like, yeah, he was there for his red jacket. It seems like having his presence around helped. Just, I don't know if it helped the Patriots play a little bit better or they just were a little more motivated, or maybe he went into the office and said, hey, why don't you put on Wenu at right tackle? He's pretty good there. Who knows? But I thought, again, he's there. Multiple former Patriots said it makes a difference, and this is the offensive line's best game of the year.
Yeah, if that's the case, give him the gold jacket, not just the red jacket. He should be.
I would.
He should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. Besides the point, yes, it was an excellent note there. Both lines of the ball seemed to control the game, and they got the ball. I don't know if you can tell me, did they win the coin toss and take the ball? Or
no,
did
the Bills won it and they deferred. But I thought, you know what? It was something that
Patriots
normally,
taking the ball.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like 99% of the time I say defer and kick off. But this was one of those instances, and I know the Bills did defer, but it was an instance that I was glad the Patriots started with the ball. They went down, they got the field goal, then they forced the turnover. Boom, they're up 10-0. And it felt like that was the first time this year where they've really been in the driver's seat early. Even that Jets win, that touchdown they scored was in the second quarter on a blown coverage. Great play, but it was on all the way till the second quarter. This felt like the first time they were really in the driver's seat early in a game, and that was great to see. Demario Douglas was huge early on in this game. He was great overall in this game, as was Hunter Henry, as was Kendrick Bourne. It was nice to see all those guys contribute, but I think the fact that they came out and scored early made a huge difference for them confidence-wise.
Absolutely right. I was going to say the same thing. They controlled the tempo from the start. Even though the first possession kind of stalled in the red zone, they made it known, like, good game plan, getting it to Douglas, getting it to Thornton, getting it to Bourne, their speedsters on the outside, and executing. There was some kind of misdirection. It kind of looked like the Chiefs for a second with their misdirection blocking. I'm like, where did this offense come from? Yeah. And all of a sudden they move the ball. They take advantage of that interception, get in the end zone with Elliott. Then like you said, it's 10-0. And then, slowly but surely, defense just hold. Obviously the Bills with the Kendrick Bourne fumble late in the fourth quarter, they take the lead. And, I believe on the final possession, the game-winning possession, there was a defensive hold, which, is what it is. You take advantage of an opponent's mistakes, and that's what they did. Mac Jones, play of the game, nice toss to Hunter Henry across the middle with a rusher coming. Yeah, one of his best throws of the year, ends up being the drive, I'd say, of his NFL career thus far for Mac Jones. That's something we've been waiting for some time. Can they lead a come from behind victory? John, you were talking about it on this show a couple weeks ago. Like, we need to be talking about, is Mac Jones a front runner? Is everything okay when the Patriots have a 10, 17, 24 point lead, whatever the case may be, when the defense is returning 11, returns, defense, kickoff, punt return for touchdowns? and they can just, play game manager mode when chips on the table, when you need a score, where is Mac Jones? And he came through in this one, which was incredibly encouraging to see. Like
Yeah.
I said, is this gonna mean he's revitalized his career? Is he the franchise guy for the next 15 years? I'm not gonna go there just yet. This is a building block. Um, can we get something from a 2-5 Patriots team? And this is what we've seen. This is encouraging.
Yeah, and he was 25 of 32. So not only was it 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner, he was real efficient. Only took 1 sack for 4 yards. The only real play in this game, and I think it was more Demario Douglas's fault than Mac, was that end first half when they had the third down that Mac looked like he kind of almost didn't want to throw, but the ball came out and it ended up being incomplete. They didn't get any points out of that drive. Like, that's one I would look back on that I didn't love for Mac. And other than that, I thought he played a really clean, really strong game. And another thing I think that helped too, Mason, for the first time this year, they got Ramondre Stevenson heavily involved in the passing game. 6 catches for 51 yards, including a huge catch and run on their final drive to help get them on the Bills side of the field. I just thought having that type of athlete in space, same thing with Douglas too, but having Stevenson, who, was great out of the backfield catching the ball last year, doing that, I thought just made a huge difference for this offense today. And that's another thing I would like to see them continue doing moving forward.
You're watching Straight Facts Homie here. That's John Lyons. I'm Mason Souza reacting to the Patriots win, improbable comeback victory over the Buffalo Bills as they move to 2-5. We're live on YouTube and obviously after the fact on TCAM TV and Vimeo. Find us on Facebook and Twitter. I want to go to the defense for the final, I believe it was the second to last Bills possession. It was a crucial point. Obviously, J.C. Jackson was a focal member of the Patriots for some time. His final game was getting torched by Stephon Diggs in the playoffs, if you remember, a few years back. Goes to the Chargers for a couple of years, is absolute trash. Comes over, and, Stephon Diggs did have his numbers later in the game, but there was this particular play, one-on-one in the end zone. Jackson stuck with him. Like, okay, here we go. Could this be a turning of the corner? Next play, 3rd and 10 or 3rd and long, whatever it is. Big hit. I believe it was Jack Jones on Diggs. I'm like, okay, here we go. 4th down. And then Bentley, I believe, dislodging.
Yeah, great play by Bentley there too.
Whether it was Kincaid or Dawson Knox, I forget the tight end that was in target there. But great play, this, turnover on downs. And here we go. Mac Jones in the offense goes down the field, gets more points, and complementary football. It seems like just with this football team, if one wheel is out of place, like, everything comes undone. They did what they needed to do. The special teams, a big punt down the sideline inside the 5-yard line for the rookie punter there, who, like I said, when one thing goes wrong, it seems like they all go wrong, but they came together. This was their on to Cincinnati game. When everything was going wrong, 1 for 5, tank for Caleb, whatever the case may be. And, I kind of wanted to come on here and say that this was the worst win. The Patriots, what are you doing when things are bleak and you're looking for the top 5 pick in the draft? You go ahead and win. But I don't want to do that. I want to get a season out of this. I don't want to talk about let's get a top 5 pick for the next 10 weeks. I want to see, is there something with this team? And John, if you have anything more with this game, we can definitely get right into it. But it kind of transitions to the news we heard 3 hours prior to kickoff with Bill Belichick, quote, being a quiet, lucrative extension for Bill Belichick in the offseason. So when I saw that, I immediately thought, and I quote tweeted it, I'm like, is Robert Kraft the worst businessman of all time, giving a almost 72-year-old man a lucrative extension? So obviously that term lucrative, you would think money, maybe a lot of years. Does that mean head coach, John? Does that mean Ernie Adams' role in 2-3 years from now? What does that mean for Gerard Mayo? Your first takeaway when you heard that report?
Tommy Curran did come out and say after that he feels like it's probably only through the 2024 season. So maybe it's a lot of money, but only for, 1 more year tacked on. And maybe it's for a couple of years, but his sense seemed to be that it's only for 1 more year after this year, which is kind of standard, like timeline wise. Like it's extremely rare for a coach to be operating as a lame duck. So like the fact that they added a year, I don't think is huge. Now, if we come to find out it's like a 4-year deal, then I'll be kind of surprised. But if it's 1 year, whatever. And I said this before the game, and I stand by it. I would give him 1 more year to try to fix this, but I would give him strict instructions that you're going to take a ton of that money you have to spend, and you're going to take those high draft picks and you're going to invest them on offense, right? We've done enough investing on defense. We've done enough investing on special teams. And I think you can agree, Mason, their defense has played well enough to win 6 out of their 7 games this year. The only one they really didn't was probably New Orleans. And even that Dallas game, you lose 38-3. Defense gave up 23 points on the road in Dallas total. 2 touchdowns total given up by the defense. So you have enough there, but their offense is really the difference. And again, I know we're coming off a great win today, but big picture, their offense is the difference between them having 2 wins or 4 wins, starting 1-2 or 3-0 this year. It really was the play or lack thereof of their offense. So I would, again, I said this before the game, I stand by it now. I'd give him another year, but at the same time, I would do it with strict instructions that, hey, you are going to take these high picks. You're going to take this money to spend in free agency or via trade, and you're going to bolster the offense. Very similar to, again, this has happened before. They did it in the spring of 2007. They did it in the spring of 2010, right? They did it in the spring of, I think it was 2013 when they brought Amendola into, so they've been willing to do things like this before. Spring of 2021. They need to be willing to do that again. And then I think they'll be in a much better place come next year. And I would give him 1 more year to do it if he's willing to follow that edict.
So it's funny, when this came through, a lot of thoughts came to my head. And obviously we remember after last season ended, not making the playoffs, the statement to the fans, basically Robert Kraft's pen saying, we're bringing in Bill O'Brien, we're extending Gerard Mayo, something unprecedented, something we hadn't heard of them, telling the fans, no, don't worry, we know this is a problem, this is what we're doing. And that almost seems like this news story of Sunday morning coming out, that was part of the negotiation. Okay, coach, you can have your offensive coordinator, you can make Gerard Mayo your heir apparent to me. This is Bill Belichick speaking, but I want something in return. Give me some more dough here. And then you can make all the personnel you want, even though I'm the GM here and you want to do that. Obviously, that's him talking to his boss. Who knows what the conversation is like between those two? They've been at it for 23 years. I'm sure it's been more good than it is bad between those two. But, near the end, there's push comes to shove a little bit and everybody wants a little bit of the pie. And to go back to your point about the defense. The defense is fine. We look at last year about how they had a franchise record returns for touchdowns. They led the league in, I want to say it was franchise record as well as points off of turnovers. And prior to this game, they had 0. They finally get in the end zone after an interception. So regression was coming. I didn't know it would be this bad. So, if the defense continues this kind of path, turning over the ball, the offense can turn that into points, then all of a sudden we got more wins. I shouldn't say the Patriots have more wins in the win column. At 2-5, they have the Miami Dolphins next, a high-powered offense. Anything else here as we want to wind down? Just Patriots go to 2-5 and tanking season is over, apparently.
Yeah, look, like I said, really encouraging victory for the Patriots. Not just that they won, but the way that they won. And if they can continue this, we talked about this before the year, and I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but they have this soft spot in the middle of the schedule when it's Washington and Indianapolis and the Giants, Pittsburgh, even the Chargers, who were shaky, Denver. They have an opportunity to get over 500 by the time we get to, early December. We'll see if they can get there. If they can, then we might be looking at a team fighting for a playoff spot, but it's not going to matter if they don't build on what they did today, right? We got to see that continue into the game against Miami next week, into the game against Washington the week after. If we don't see it, then we'll be on here saying it's the same thing as the, Eagles and Dolphins games the first 2 weeks, encouraging, but not enough. If it does continue, we might have some fun in December, Mason.
Yeah, looking at the chats real quick as we end the first quarter on YouTube. Shane, screw the pumpkin patches. We're back on board. Yes, on a weekly basis. That's usually how it goes. I'm in until next week. Let's see what happens against the Dolphins. And then let's see, our own Walter, who unfortunately couldn't make it for this show. Of course, not congratulations, the Patriots, saying, what's wrong with the Bills? Walter never changed. And Jason, again, 2 points he wants to make. Matt got away with one. That touchdown pass to Gesicki was off the back foot. I didn't notice that. But yeah, he has been doing that a lot this year off the back foot. And was this the Pats winning or the Bills losing?
Yeah, I do think, look, there's serious questions about the Bills right now. I won't like they lost 2 weeks ago. Last week, they didn't play well against the Giants. They lose today. I get it, but there's still a team with a top 5 quarterback, an elite receiver, a lot of good pieces there on offense and defense. Ed Oliver not playing was definitely helpful for the Patriots, but you can play that game both ways. I mentioned the Patriots didn't have Judon, Gonzalez, Uche, Keon White. Like, they didn't have those guys either, and they had been playing poorly coming into it. So, like, yeah. I do think there are serious questions from the Bills, but given where the Patriots were coming in, I view it much more as the Patriots made a ton of progress and had a great day.
I agree. And they lost their tackles as well. Trent Brown-Lowe left the game. I'm not sure if they came back near the end, but they were out for a period of time. So I give this win to the Patriots. There's no moral victory here. There's no, whatever the case may be, this is a win. Can you build on this? We will find out next week. That's the first quarter. Straight Facts Only. Thank you for everyone on YouTube for chiming in. Join us next week as we'll react yet again to week number 8 already, about halfway through the season. Everybody else, let's move on. Second quarter, Straight Facts Only.